What is going on, everybody? Thank you for tuning in to another edition of On the Road to Victory. I am your host, Jimmy Smith, and I hope you're all having yourselves a great Thursday. We're here to talk the top 13 matchups between the Eagles and Commanders, but of course that comes along with the injury report for today for both teams. You will get a look at the stats and standings for both teams and then their depth charts, just so you get a feel for what these guys look like. Some changes. I see a lot of confusion out there, so I want you to know what both these teams look like, who we have on each roster here, and then we'll talk about those top 13 matchups. But I appreciate you taking the time. This is not a live one, but I would love to hear your thoughts down below. Appreciate you hitting that like button, subscribing, all the things you're doing to support the channel. But let's jump right into this bad boy, and we'll start it off with the Eagles injury report for today. And look, a few people added, but nothing too serious for the Eagles. So we've got James Bradberry, Zach Cunningham, and Jordan Davis, all limited. You see ankle injuries for Bradberry and Cunningham, and then Davis with a hamstring. We'll keep our eyes on that. Obviously, tomorrow is going to be important. We'll get the game status report. I will have that out for you around 4:30, 5 o'clock. You will know who is questionable, who's out, all of those things. But full participant, Reed Blankenship again, limited Milton Williams again, and then Bradley Roby did not practice. So the only things that changed were 3 people added there, but it's limited. A lot of times, if you remember the last couple of years, Nick Sirianni on Thursdays will sometimes give some of these guys rest if they had a nagging kind of injury or anything. So don't want to get too carried away. Don't lose your mind over it. It is limited, so we'll see where it goes tomorrow. Now, the Commanders had to add someone to the injury report, and that is Benjamin St-Juste. So he was limited. Again, same thing. It could just be, being precautious there. We'll see tomorrow when the game status report comes out. But a few things did change. Curtis Samuel ended up practicing today. He was limited. Great sign for them. Then their right guard, Sam Cosmi, he was a full participant. And backup tight end Cole Turner, also a full participant today. So you can see the changes. You can see Charles and Barton, I've mentioned this, but in case you missed it, they're not going to play. Middle linebacker and left guard for the Commanders looking like they will most likely be out with those injuries they sustained in last week's game. So keeping you up to date every day with those injuries, let you know tomorrow what the game status report is. But let's keep this train moving along here. And I've got the stats and standings. Sorry if this thing's freezing and stuff. I can't with this internet, but doing my best here, and we'll see what's actually showing or what's going on here when I rewatch it. But let's take a look at how these teams have been doing. We know the media is doing their best to tell everyone the Eagles season is over. They can't turn things around after the Jets loss. We talked about it here, how the Eagles would still win the Super Bowl, build a dynasty here. And as you can see, they continue to improve, and the media keeps having to change their narratives and move their goalposts. They will eventually have to repeat my Super Bowl prediction. I can promise you that. Now you see 4th in points, 3rd in total yards. Now getting better at giving up sacks there, but still middle of the pack. Interceptions, want to clean that stuff up, but we talk about it. If we're not shooting ourselves in the foot, making stupid mistakes in the NFL. Then you see on defense, middle of the pack in points, 6th in total yardage, 1st against the run, tied for 5th in sacks. So this defense coming along. We talk about all those injuries. They're going to continue finding themselves, continue to get more turnovers, sacks, and really show people why I thought before the season started this would be top 3, maybe the best defense in the league. And I think the media is starting to finally see that. Now, the Commanders, on the other hand, a little bit more bottom of the barrel here. Offense, 20th in points, 22nd total. You see, giving up the most sacks per game there. Tied for 21st in turnovers. The defense, 29th in points and yards given up there. Not great, but they are getting some sacks, 3.3 per game, and middle of the pack there in turnovers. So we know that this Commanders team, not the greatest, but it's a divisional matchup. So looking at these standings, we know the Commanders are pissed. They just lost to the Giants. We're looking to stay atop. So any divisional matchup, especially in the NFC East, is going to be a barn burner. So looking forward to it. Last game we went into overtime with these guys. So going to be a battle to the death. Now they are 10th in the NFC. We are number 1. So looking to stay atop there and find our way into that bye week. But the Commanders hoping they could possibly make the playoffs this season. So we got to do our thing, shut them down, and let's take a look now. This is the depth chart, so you can see what these teams actually look like. If you missed behind enemy lines, everything about the Commanders, go check that out. Any of the videos I put out every day, any kind of move ever made. But in case you miss any of these things, I want to keep you up to date. So here is the practice squad for the Eagles. Julio Jones, Brandon Smith, Vildor, some new names, Noah Ellis back. So you can see the wide receivers. Obviously, we got 4. We've got a running back, a couple offensive linemen, and then 9 on the defense there. So we'll keep that in mind. Julio, maybe Goodrich or Garner get elevated for this game. We shall see. But then you've got the reserves here. If you're looking at this depth chart, wondering where some of these guys are, well, here they are. Bradley, Evans, Johnson, Juergens, Maddox, McPherson, Watkins, all on IR. Hoping to get Juergens back next week against the Cowboys. And then Evans and Watkins probably come back after the bye. So these guys will not be on the depth chart, but let's take a look at the updated Eagles depth chart here. Julio, I have, even though he's a practice squad elevation, I put him in there for parentheses so you can see the depth we have at wide receiver. Everybody else looking good to go here this week. Could see some more snaps for Julio. I know Olamide played over 50%. It was only a little over 20% for Julio. So as he gets to know the offense more, hopefully see more of him out there. On the defensive side of the ball, just continue to get better. And with the trade of Kevin Byard, obviously huge news for the Eagles. Now you can use Sidney Brown, Eli Ricks in that nickel cornerback spot if, Bradley Roby isn't there. But even if he is, mix and match. It all depends on the situation. We play situational football, who matches up against who. But you've got Scott here. He's been helping out, brought back, obviously, to be that versatile defensive back. And he can help at safety and nickel there. But Slay, Bradbury, you've got Job as the backup, Ringo, special teamer as of now. But those safeties, Blankenship, Byard, you can have Brown in that as that third safety we talk about, that big nickel, dime backer, doing all those things. Finally let him fly with Blankenship and Byard there. Very excited to see that. And then on the special teams, nothing changed there, but just want to keep you up to date with everything going on. And I'm going to do the same with the Commanders here. So a look at their practice squad, 8 on offense, 8 on defense. We'll see if they elevate 1, 2, none. We'll find out on Saturday, but there is their reserves list. All of these guys, if you're looking for them on the depth chart, they will not be there. Fedarian Mathis had his 21-day window activated, so we'll see if they take him off of IR for this game. He has been practicing in full, so looking good for him to be placed back on here, but he will not be on this list until he comes off of that IR. Now you can see this is pretty much the same team. We talked about it. Charles, if he's out, Ricky Stromberg looks like maybe he gets a start there, the rookie. Now, maybe you put in Chris Paul. I really don't know what they're going to do, but yeah, we'll find out here. And the line, we got 5 sacks last time. We could shut this offense down. They've got some skilled players that are pretty good. We let Sam Howell do some things you cannot do in this game. Now, that defense, we know they've got playmakers, but they've got some injuries and they've had their issues this season. Now, Emmanuel Forbes crying on the sideline after what A.J. Brown did to him, got benched. Now you've got Danny Johnson playing the nickel. So that did move around, and you don't have Derek Forrest. He's on IR, so Percy Butler comes in. So definitely some difference there. Middle linebacker Cody Barton being out. David Mayo will have to step in. So some key differences there on this defense. This offense should be able to handily hand it to the Commanders, which we'll talk about more here in a second. But special teams, nothing has changed since I showed you this on Tuesday here. And apparently I can't talk today, so bear with me. But there you go. You see what both of these teams look like, how they've been doing so far this year, their injuries. Now let's take a look at the top 13 here, and we've got some good ones and definitely some changes since the last time we saw them. So let's get this bad boy started. And I tried to change the colors from last time, but yellow, can't stand it. Let's take a look at number 13, and not really going against each other, but who in the return game can step it up for their team? Boston Scott, Antonio Gibson, 2 running backs that are depth pieces that you got back there. They're serviceable, but nothing big yet. We know that they're capable of it. Maybe one of these guys can do something. Scott got close last week. Maybe Boston Scott runs one back for a touchdown. That would be fantastic to see the special teams doing something. And you've got Britton Covey, who is second in the league in punt return yards. He's fifth in average at 13.9. And on the other side, you've got Crowder, who's seventh in return yards and 12th in average. So Covey's the better guy. But if you ask, anybody who watches stats, they'd probably just tell you Crowder while they're not looking at the stats. So for me, Covey's been doing his thing. Maybe Scott could do the same. One of these guys stepping up for their team. We shall see. Now at number 12, I've got DeAndre Swift going up against Jamin Davis. And, well, now it's going to have to be David Mayo. So they're giving up 125.7 rush yards per game. That's 22nd in the NFL. Last game we played him, only 14 carries, 56 yards, and a touchdown. 4 yards per carry there for Swift. But run the damn ball. Give him that ball. Feed him. I think that is a key to going out here and whooping their ass. But not one of my top matchups because I think you should be able to handily run all over them, especially with Cody Barton out there. And we're averaging 142.7 rush yards per game. That's fourth in the NFL. Let's effing go. And the way I have this ordered, it's more, geared toward what I think is going to be, the tougher matchups for the Eagles. But, Robinson, Gibson, we shut down Brian Robinson last game, 14 carries, 45 yards, 3.2 yards per carry. And Gibson had 3.2 as well, 6 carries, 19 yards. But Robinson, he did get himself a touchdown. Now, this was a game where Nicholas Morrow had 3 sacks. But last game, Dean took back his job, so it was predominantly Cunningham and Dean, although Morrow did get some plays in there. So use all 3 of them. Shut down this running back group. I definitely think the Eagles can do that. So excited to see this matchup, and I think that these linebackers are going to continue to improve, and very happy about that room. Now, at number 10, I've got the big boys in the middle, and Jalen Carter, Jordan Davis. They are just showing you why I was so excited about the potential to draft them the last 2 years as my predictions as who the Eagles would take. So I'm very, very excited about, the progress they've made in such a short amount of time. But Cox and Williams are there as well, and they are some studs. And with, the injury to Sadiq Charles, you've got Stromberg coming in there. So we've talked about it. They are giving up the most sacks. They have struggled in the pass and run. So you got to go take advantage of this. The rookie Stromberg, I think, is going to have a tough time. You've got Gates in the middle there, and Cosme's been a little banged up, should play. But these guys, time to go out and feast, and I think they're going to do just that. I think, we had 5 sacks last time. I'm seeing an 8-sack game here. I want to see them feast. And that's going to be partially because of, Hassan Reddick got his cast off. You've got Josh Sweat, Brandon Graham, Derek Barnett, and Nolan Smith here. And look, Sweat and Reddick had a sack apiece in that last game. And I think, obviously they are capable of doing some things. Leno, much better than Wiley, but attack these tackles and let's do our thing. All these depth pieces here, like we talked about, they're giving up 5.7 per game. That's last in the NFL. So I want at least these 6, but I'm talking 8, baby. 8 piece. Let's effing go. Now, speaking of 8, let's get to number 8 here. And, Dallas Goedert. Now, in this past game, only 2 catches for 25 yards against them. So, look, didn't get him involved too much. We talked about it at that time. Let's start getting him acclimated. Well, we've been doing that, and I would like to see him do that. They're missing Derek Forrest. So you've got Percy Butler in for him, Cameron Curl, a good safety, but I think it's time for Goddard to do some work here, and I think he can do so in this game. And obviously it's going to be the linebackers and everybody else trying to help out, but wanted to pinpoint that matchup. Now, Logan Thomas, our safeties going up against their tight ends. I'm very excited for Kevin Byard, ready to get a picture of him in an Eagles uniform to use. But you've got Blankenship and he, very excited about that duo. But Sidney Brown, we talk about as that third safety, as that nickel back in those bigger packages. We talk about playing that dime backer, doing things that we've spoke of all offseason, even before the draft. You guys know why I wanted him. So this is where you're going to shine, get to see him. He's not being thrown into the fire, having to play things that he wasn't ready for. He is ready to rock and roll. And I think that all 3 of these guys shutting down Logan Thomas is going to be a big thing. And he only had 3 catches for 41 yards last time. Let's continue to shut them down, one of their bigger weapons and a very athletic piece. But I think the Eagles could definitely be able to shut him down here. Now at number 6, look, I put McLaurin and Dotson. Samuel, limited today, so great news for them. But the Eagles, Slay, Bradbury, You've got Ricks and Roby. Brown, we'll see who they use as nickel here, but Ricks showing out, man. We talked about it. A lot of people asking for him to start week one. Look, he was not ready week one. You got to give some of these things time. It's like Nolan Smith, Sidney Brown. I love these guys. There's a reason I was so emphatic about getting them. And when we did, I was super pumped about it because I liked them. But I also understand you can't just throw them in the fire. Some people it's better for, but when you have the luxury of learning behind some really good players, you do that. Now, the Eagles have had injuries, so people have had to play. So, and I'm all for, learning on the go, but, we have a very talented, group here. So the injuries allowed some of these young guys. Ricks needs to continue playing. We'll see what happens when Roby comes back. But, with Samuel in there, and you can't sleep on Samuel either. It just didn't have his name there because of the injury. But, of course, today he was limited, so he probably will play. And last time we saw them, Samuel had 7 catches for 51 yards. And Terry McLaurin had 1 more catch, 8 for 86. Dotson had 4 for 27, but he was the one that got the touchdown. So got to watch out for all these guys. And I think we've got the talent here to shut them down, but a very talented room. Now into the depth 5. We're going Sam Howell, who did pretty well against us last time. It's 29 for 41, 290 yards and a touchdown. No interceptions there. But, he did his dinking and dunking. We're a bend, don't break kind of defense. But I think that, we're allowing 18th. We're 18th in the league, allowing 227.4 yards per game. You need to shut it down here. He had, like 20 yards over that last time or whatever. Or I'm sorry, he had 65 yards over that. So, look, you can't allow that. And if they're up big and he's just getting passing yards because they're passing every play, I don't care about the stats. I want to see a win. But you got to shut him down. Don't allow these stupid third and down, conversions and things like that. Now at number 4, and look, they're giving up the most sacks. So I'll say it again, get those 8 sacks, cause turnovers, want to see some turnovers in this game. And I think Sam Howell's going to have a tougher time in this game. Just saying that. Now up next at number 4, I've got our receivers. Obviously AJ and Devontae, but Julio Olamide, I've talked about, maybe Julio gets some more snaps in this game. Last game we played him, Olamide only had 1 catch for 11 yards. You had Devontae 7 catches for 78 yards. That's 11.1 yards per catch. Then you had AJ go off. We talked about making Emmanuel Forbes cry on the sideline. 9 catches, 175 yards, 19.4 yards per catch with 2 touchdowns. That's pretty damn insane. And they're 24th in the league, giving up 248.4 yards per game. So I think that these wide receivers should be able to do some work again, but now you've got Julio mixed in. I think you're going to see more Dallas, and you're going to run the damn ball with Swift. So it's going to be time for these guys to feast. I think this is going to be a much bigger win. No overtime here for the Eagles. Now at number 3, they've got some studs on that line. And look, last game, Chase Young, he got himself a sack, and they're, getting 3.3 per game. They got 3 against us. They're 7th in the league there. We're giving up 2.4. That's 17th. But, in this game, I really think, it's fun to watch these kind of matchups. These are the heavyweight battles where, you got studs on each side on offense and defense. So wherever Chase Young or Montez Sweat is, it's going to be a great matchup, whether it's Lane Johnson or Jordan Mailata. So really, really looking forward to this heavyweight battle again. And then on the inside, man, which I think is even stronger for them, Jonathan Allen and Deron Payne. And I actually didn't think Jonathan Allen had the greatest game last time. He did have a sack, but these big boys in the middle of the Eagles really did some work on him. And look, you got Sua Opeta in there. It's not Cam Jurgens, but he's got to clean some things up. He's definitely had his struggles. Cannot wait. Hopefully Jurgens is back by next week. But look, you've got a tough task in front of you. Deron Payne and Jonathan Allen are effing monsters, and we know that. So go out here, shut these guys down, and obviously the number 1 matchup and the number 1 thing you need to do is protect QB1 Jalen Hurts here. And in that last game, he had 25 completions, 37 attempts there, 319 yards, and 2 touchdowns. So, I mean, he did good. It's just, people are always harping on things. That was a 300-yard game. Oh, well, they went to overtime. People are always looking to try to complain about something. I thought that game, was proof. He's still a stud here, and he had 9 carries for 34 yards, 3.8 yards per carry. So we know who Jalen Hurts is. We know what he's got to do. We got to protect him. Go out here, and for me, this Eagles team, protecting Hurts. Obviously, that knee scare. We've got to keep him healthy here, but I think we should be able to do some work here. Run the ball a lot so you don't have to have it in Hurts' hands. But be careful with all the RPOs you do because they're going to try to hit him anyway. Protect his ass. Let's go win this damn game big. I'm all about it. But I would love to hear your thoughts down below. If you got anything from this, do me a favor, hit that like button. You can always subscribe. I'm going to be live later tonight. Damn Sixers game starts, so I'm going to have to do it during that at some point, 8, maybe 8:30, 9 o'clock. I don't know, maybe around halftime. We'll see, but trying to put together this trade show, get it ready for you so we can talk about the top 50 trade candidates for the Eagles. That's right, I'm a true sicko. So I hope to see you then. I'm doing it live, lots of information for you, but I hope you enjoyed this show. Until next time, I'm Jimmy Smith, and this is On the Road to Victory. You all have a great rest of your night. You stay safe out there. And as always, go Birds!